Coming up on this episode of Flirtations, we're diving deep into the psychology of attraction, the patterns that shape our relationships, and how we can make more conscious choices in dating and in love. We welcome Dr. Joe Kort, a psychotherapist, author, and relationship expert who's here to help us understand why we date the people we do. First, we'll break down what red and green flags really mean and some common misconceptions about them. Then we'll explore Imago Relationship Therapy and how our childhood experiences can influence our type and attraction in dating. Why do we sometimes feel drawn to those who aren't good for us? And more importantly, how do we break free from those cycles? Plus, we'll talk about masculinity a bit, touching on the topics of performative masculinity and male-on-male flirting. Ooh, so are you ready, flirties? Let's do this and meet Joe.
I heard you wanted to flirt. I heard you wanted to flirt. I heard you wanted to flirt. Hello, my name is Benjamin. I'm the flirt coach and a gay Libra. Everyone has an inner flirt.
Hey, flirty.
Live, laugh, flirt.
Work the flirt.
Work the flirt. Delulu is the Salulu. Expert on the flirt.
Hey, flirty. There's always another flirt.
Everyone has an inner flirt. Get out of your head and into the flirt.
Flirties, up for discussion today, red flags, green flags, and why we date the people we do with Dr. Joe Kort. Hello and welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
I'm very glad you're here as well. How are you today?
I'm very well. We have a snow day here, so I'm doing okay.
Ooh, a snow day. Okay, so I got to ask you this, since we're just talking about snow for a moment. Maybe this is a Southern thing, but do you make snow cream?
No, what's that?
See? Okay, so we got the one snow, or a couple snows this year, not enough to make snow cream, but all it is, you gather up a bunch of snow in a mixing bowl, and then you add sugar, vanilla, and some type of dairy, right? Milk or whatever.
Oh, it sounds awful.
What?
It sounds dirty, too, the snow.
It's basically like a milkshake of sorts. Yeah, a few people.
Yeah.
I used to do this all the time when it would snow, and then I got the same reaction as you just had, Joe, where I was talking about this with some friends and customers at the store, and they were like, ew, that's disgusting.
A little bit. Maybe if I tried it, it wouldn't be.
Well, I survived somehow, some way. All right. So we're going to be talking about some red flags, some green flags. I want to demystify that a little bit on the show today with you. I'm very curious to hear your perspective, and then getting into why we date the people we do. You're going to introduce Imago Relationship Therapy here on the show today. Very interested to learn more about that. But at the top, for the flirties getting to know you for the first time, I'd love for you to share a little bit more about your work and how you got started doing what you do.
Yeah, so I got started because I was a depressed, bullied gay teen in the 70s. So I'm 62 now, and this was long ago, obviously. And my mother saw me isolating in my room and getting worse and worse. So she took me to Jewish Family Service, and I met this guy named Stephen Advocate, and he was my therapist for 3.5 years. And teens don't do this, but I went to him twice a week. I walked, and he changed my life. And I remember thinking, I want to do exactly what he's doing. And 40 years later, and I have about 7 books later, and different things I've done. And I also, I don't know if you know this, but I coined the word side. Have you ever heard of that?
I didn't know you coined it.
I did.
What?
Yeah, I did.
I can thank you for that. Thank you, Dr. Joe Kort.
I swear to God, it's the weirdest thing. I was so I wrote an article in a Huffington Post in 2013 about me being a side.
Yeah.
And I was sick of being ashamed about it. I'd been doing workshops. And then that went viral, but then it went away. And then we started a Facebook group. We have like 10,000 guys in this group now.
Oh, my God.
I know. And then because of my TikToks, Grindr got a hold of me and said, we want to add this to Grindr. So they did. And they gave me the credit for it, which they should have, because I came up with it.
That's amazing. Yeah, because it's now an option if you are on Grindr or Scruff or an app of that nature. You can select side as a sexual position. So we got to now tell the flirties what a side is, because I know some of them are wondering.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. Right. You're right. So a side is somebody who, and they're still not going to understand. It's like everyone, they don't hear it. A side is a gay guy who doesn't have anal sex, period. And then people are like, well, then you're asexual. No, there's lots of sex we have. We just don't have penetrative sex. It's outer course, not intercourse.
Yeah. And do you think, would this apply or could a side be any gender?
I really do believe that. But at the time, I was self-conscious because lesbians, bisexuals, and trans don't want you to talk about them unless you're one of them. Right. And since I was, I've been criticized. And when I'm criticized, I'm like, listen, you've told me to stay in my lane. So I stayed in my lane. But even straight people could be a side.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's really helpful just to give understanding to an experience that I know a lot of the flirties can relate to. And then you give some terminology, you give a word to the experience. And then now all of a sudden you have language, you have a community, a Facebook group of 10,000 people. That's amazing.
You could join it if you wanted.
I would really enjoy it and love to join that group, because I also felt like for the longest time that something was wrong with me, right? Like something was fundamentally broken, but I didn't identify as asexual either. It wasn't as if I was just averse to all kinds of sex.
Right. No way. And I wanted people to not feel shame. I relieved myself of my shame by coming out as a side. People would say, well, you don't fuck. And I'm like, well, I don't have to fuck to have sex. Yeah. You know, sex isn't just fucking. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Tell me now about, so you have several books.
I do.
Let's plug one of them. Yeah, let's hear it.
So I was really proud of my first book, 10 Smart Things Gay Men Can Do to Improve Their Lives. I wrote it in 2003, and I updated it in 2016 because it was obviously so much changed. But that book was doing super well until Velvet Rage came out. And once Velvet Rage came out, it totally eclipsed my book. And Velvet Rage is a great book. But I was like, and my book was when we had bookstores, it would be in the windows, and I was getting more and more known. Yeah.
All right, let's. What is Velvet Rage for the flirties?
So Velvet Rage is by Alan Downs, and he wrote really similar to what I wrote, but he wrote it in a better way, different way. But it's about growing up and the trauma that we have, and then the post-traumatic stress that we take out on each other, and the internalized homophobia. It's a beautiful book. It still sells really well. I
think it should be required reading.
So do I. It really is good.
And yours too.
That's right. My first book, yes.
You pick up both at the same time.
That's right. Yes, do both.
All right. So now, because I always love talking with practitioners and learning about how they got into the work that they do, hearing some of that personal story. And so now I'm curious to hear about some of the people that you work with. Yeah. What types of communities do you? Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I work a lot with LGBT. Okay. I've always done that. For 32 years, I've been in private practice, 40 years therapist. But people always think, straight people call me and they'll say, do you see straight people? Yeah. And I have to feel like that kid in The Sixth Sense. I see straight people. I see straight people. Yeah. I should have that on my website. Most of my practice is straight because it's Detroit, Michigan. We don't have a ton of LGBT here the way other cities do. But I work with them. I work with mixed orientation marriages. I work a lot with straight men who have sex with men. I have a lot of people that are infidelity, male sexual trauma, that kind of stuff.
Okay. That's good to know. Good context. And final question in the About You section of the interview. Because I am also a content creator as well. I love to dabble on the socials and make some videos, and you do as well. So how you got, and congratulations on your success there. It's very,
thank you.
Yes, it's very inspiring. How did you get started doing that? Or was this a natural, something that you were always interested in?
No, my social media team urged me. I wasn't going to do it. I mean, because I do like to be on video. It would all work, but all of my social media has very few numbers, really. Nothing like TikTok, where I have all these. So I just did, and I decided to do what I knew would be controversial, but what I believe in, which is that straight men hook up with other men. They're not gay. They're not bi. My very first video went viral. And then I just kept talking. And then I did another video like that, and it went viral twice. It was crazy. Wow. Have you ever had a viral video?
I've had a few, yes.
They're scary. It's not like you think. You're like, you want it all the time. You hope it's going to. But then when it goes that way, people, they come after you for my license, my credibility, my looks. It was really a strange experience.
Yeah, I've had a few. I can think of one time going viral where it either strikes a nerve or a chord, and I don't know whose algorithm it shows up on, but not for you, not the video for you. But when something starts going viral, it's like it gets shared, and then it kind of takes on a life of its own sometimes.
I almost did take it down. The people were saying to me, you can still take this down. And I thought, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I believe in this. And
exactly.
I just didn't want it to become campy. I didn't want to become a mommy dearest video. That's what I was worried about.
Yes. I have a no delete policy at Flirt headquarters as well. If I said it and posted it, I said it and posted it.
I love that.
Yes. All right. So I promise Flirties, we're going to get into the questions. I have one more question here because I made a video not that recently, and it did, somewhat well, but talking about kind of touching on this male on male kind of bro code, if you will. I don't know, but guys that don't identify as gay or trans or bisexual somewhere in the queer spectrum, but hook up with the men's. And I framed this video in terms of flirting, how there's a lot of male on male flirting between the straights. It's like, so a classic example is the revving the car. You got like the whatever engine, however many cylinders are in there. That's for the boys. That is for the boys. Yeah. What do you think about this male on male kind of courtship, if you will?
I really believe that men are not taught how to have relationships with one another and intimacy with one another. And so, like women can touch each other, go to the bathroom together, sleep against each other in the airports, brush each other's hair, and men can't do that. So the way we do that is we do the car thing, the accelerator. Yeah. And sometimes there's sexual contact for the intimacy with this other person, not the attraction to the man, but to have a bond.
Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it really is. So I see a lot of men like this. It's not everyone, but the idea that they don't have any male figures in their life, they have no connection that really matters to them, and they don't know how to do it. They're not into sports, they're not in the corporate world where they're good old boys or anything. Yeah. So then suddenly they find themselves at a massage parlor getting a happy ending with this guy, and it's not a relationship with the guy, but it's some kind of the other guy's making them feel good, feel like a man, feel like they're connected to another man through the sexual act, not the attraction.
Yeah. That's so interesting. I mean, just some things that are coming to mind are like that a lot of that behavior happens so clandestinely, right? Very much behind closed doors. It's very secretive. I think there's a lot of, I know there's a lot of shame and even embarrassment with that. And because we then go into, if I like getting that happy ending from a guy, well, then I must be gay. Yeah.
Yes. And I think you're how old are you? Can I ask? Because I'm 62.
I am 39 years young.
You're young. You're very young. So your generation and younger has changed all the work that my generation did, which is action doesn't make you your orientation. It's not always connected. If I have sex tomorrow with a woman, I'm still Joe Kort gay. But if a straight guy has sex with a man, he's no longer heterosexual. And I that's another thing I do on social media a lot is try to go against this terrible wave of these younger people thinking that if your action is with another person, that's who you are. And it's not true.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, we could spend, my gosh, multiple episodes on this talking about misogyny and just how we define masculinity. I've started to play with a little bit this concept of performative masculinity, right? How sometimes we perform, our own manliness in a way to seek approval or to seem strong or to get the partner, a guy, a girl, they, them, doesn't matter. It's like, but when it gets down to it, what actually is masculinity? Like what is it? When you really get down to it. Like I think it's this ability to we're talking about dating, provide safety a little bit, because then we get into kind of the nuances of masculine, feminine, energetic dynamics in dating, and that's I'm still trying to wrap my mind around that a little bit.
It's really good. And I like what you're talking about, the flirting, because I think straight men flirt with us gay guys because they want validation too. They 100%. They don't have women going, oh, what a nice hot chest, what a nice cock you got through those pants. So, whatever. They enjoy that. And then it's validating for the gay guy to have a straight guy approve of him. It's very validating.
It's hot too.
It is hot.
Yeah. Honestly, pretty hot. I definitely dress to catch the straight's eyes for sure from time to time. I love it. I love that very much, like kind of that, it's that flirting without using any words, right? You're using eye contact, or you're using body language, or using energy. And I'm like, yeah, I know you're
I
looking
love
at
that.
me. I know you're looking at me. Let me give you a little bit to look at.
Mhm.
It's so much fun. Yeah.
Agreed.
Oh my goodness. All right. Red flags, green flags. I think it could be, yes, beneficial to frame this why we date the people we do conversation and getting into Imago therapy. First, talking a little bit about red flags, green flags. I'm curious to hear from your perspective. Those are helpful terms to use because they're terms people understand, but giving some context to them, what does red flag, green flag mean to you?
So I would say like red flags would be things, when you're dating somebody, right? And when everything comes back to them, they're always talking about themselves. And you say, then they ask about you, and then they go back to talking about themselves. That's a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
People have said it's a red flag if they don't get along with their family. That might be old school thinking, because now people understand there's lots of reasons not to get along with your family. It might be a green flag, actually.
Yeah.
Given how the family might be.
Yeah.
But other red flags would be like how long they were in their relationships, not necessarily judging people for the length, but just understanding how did it end, who ended it. Because I'm a therapist, when I used to date in my 20s, I would be like, have you ever had a manic episode? Has there ever been an inpatient? I was like, giving them the third degree. But I wanted to be thorough. And the answers mattered to me. Not that how did they work through, have they ever had any mental health, not challenges necessarily, but how did they deal with their mental health challenges, which could be a green or a red flag,
Mm-hmm. Okay. And now I'm curious to hear from you, because we get into some of these other words we use when we're dating, of deal breakers and non-negotiables and icks. And so how we can start to differentiate something like a red flag from, let's say you're on a date and you're with someone who is just incredibly rude and dismissive and always talking about themselves. Like, now we're starting to, I think, see, ooh, like these are some traits. It's not like, I try not to frame things in like, this is good or bad, right, wrong, red, green. It's more so, what do I think about this? Does this work for me? Is this the type of person that I would be looking to date or perhaps have a relationship with, right? How are they showing up, and what do I think and feel about this? So I like it. It takes the kind of the gaze, if you will, the judgment perhaps off of them, and puts you back in the center of dating, puts you in that position of the chooser, right? Do I choose to go on another date with this person or not? So that's a little bit kind of how I untangle red flag, green flag. But going back to the question that I did ask you,
Yeah.
what's the difference perhaps between a red flag and a deal breaker, or are they maybe the same?
I think a red flag is, here's what I always say to people. You have, when we first meet somebody, we have our hands, right? And we're like, oh my God, what beautiful hands. I want to kiss them. I want to fuck them. We're having a great, could last 6 to 18 months, maybe a little longer or shorter. And then when the romance ends, the new relationship energy ends, all you see is this. Wow. It was there all along, right?
You're giving me the middle finger right now. That's twice.
Right. It's like, go fuck, because now you see the negatives, you see the red flags, but you think, oh, I can deal with that. Oh, they'll go away. Oh, I'll amputate that finger. The other 8 are beautiful. But they're not necessarily deal breakers until you get to the second part of the relationship. You can't necessarily know unless you already know in the beginning. Like if you're in the beginning and you're like, I see that red flag and that's a deal breaker for me. It's so subjective. But it might not be until the romance ends, and then you're just left with so much of this that you're like, I can't do this.
Okay, we're going to stay here, because I think what you're speaking to is that honeymoon period phase of dating where, maybe dopamine is feeling really good. We got some oxytocin going on, right? We're just kind of building that love bond. And then you start to see maybe someone for who they really are, or then some of their, not so admiring or admirable traits start to show up, which could have been there the whole time, but now you're starting to see them a little bit more.
And they are there the whole time. People,
they are.
And actually they see them, but they don't pay attention to them, and they don't value them. Yeah.
And this is I'm glad the conversation is going in this direction, because I think people do, for the most part, in dating, show you who they are.
100%.
I think they do,
Yes.
which was such an eye-opening realization to finally come to one day.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And then you also want to look at, are they able to consider you? Are they able to anticipate your
Oh
needs?
my
Are they,
God, yes.
can they hear that what they're giving you is their love language, not your love language? And are they willing to be open and accountable? A lot of people, to me, a deal breaker is somebody who's not accountable, who isn't willing to take responsibility for their behavior or their actions. That's a horrible deal breaker for me.
I'm right there with you. Yeah, I love that you mentioned consideration here. I think that should be the sixth love language for sure. If we were to add, I think we should add more than five, but someone being able to consider you, like something I think about is when you're dating someone you don't even have to be in a relationship with, but just someone giving you a heads up. Hey, like I'm going out with my friends tonight, or hey, I'm having dinner with family, or just not that you need to keep tabs on them. Like, not that you're coming from this place of, oh, I'm really anxious. What is this person doing? Where are they? But more so, hey, I'm just looking to include you in my life because I value you.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And you know what I love about your work and everything you say, and I watch your videos, is you're helping people understand, because people say, I don't want to be judgmental on dating when I'm dating. That's exactly weird. Not to be judgmental, but selective.
Yes.
And that's really what you're teaching people, how to be selective.
Well, thank you, Joe. I hope so, because I am single now, in and out of dating. It's not honestly a huge, this work is taking the priority over a lot of my personal life right now. And I'm totally okay with the way that balance is set up for the time being. But going back to what we were just talking about a moment ago, when people, I think, are really showing you who they are. I used to be the one that dated potential, the one who fixed, the one who just went all in, right? Their friends became my friends. I took on their interests and hobbies. I completely lost every bit of myself, just because ultimately, like, my core wound in all of this is that I just don't feel good enough. And so I just wanted to be liked so badly, regardless of if someone was presenting all the red flags, all the deal breakers, no consideration, judging me to pieces. It didn't matter. That was almost this invitation to go in even harder.
Yeah, right. That makes sense. And then you have to, I tell people, you sometimes have to change. I don't believe you can change your love map. Who you're attracted to, the type of people you're attracted to is who you're attracted to. It comes from childhood. We'll talk about that when we talk about Imago.
Yes.
But I'm very attracted to narcissistic guys. The more narcissistic, the bully, the mean, the self-centered, I'm wildly. And I remember in my 20s going, well, this isn't going to work. They're such shitheads and they're so mean to me. And so when I met my husband, and narcissists make my heart like patter really fast. My husband didn't do that for me. He made my heart patter, and he had enough narcissism. He's on the autism spectrum. He's Asperger's, and there's enough self-centeredness in an Asperger's person that it drew me to him. But I had to change my selection process, and a lot of people don't want to do that.
That is so true. I think a good time to start getting into Imago therapy, but I'm going to follow up with you there. Why daters seem to be so steadfast in their picker, right? And they're selecting of partners.
I mean, my first response is laziness. It's like, that's just a natural way. I should just be able to be me. I should be able to naturally go toward who I want to go toward. And that's nice. And if you have a good love map, that's great. But if you have a love map you're recycling abuse or trauma bonding with people, you have to do a higher level of work.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is something that I'm sure you do in your work as well, that I do my best to help the flirties with, because it is that process of changing ultimately what you're kind of attracted to.
Yes. Right. It doesn't mean you have to give it completely up, but it might mean you have to modify it to some degree.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's get into Imago Relationship Therapy now. First time that I'm going to be learning about this alongside the flirties right now. First time we've ever had this conversation on Flirtations. So yes, Joe, floor is yours. What is it?
All right. Well, it used to be way more popular. And even in schools, they were teaching them. Graduate programs, they don't do it so much anymore. It's based on this book called Getting the Love You Want, A Guide for Couples. by Harville Hendricks, and he created this Imago Relationship Therapy. How it got it was already popular, but he was on Oprah, and she won her first Emmy with him on her show.
Wow.
So she kept having him. She felt like he was good luck. So she kept having him back and back. But it's based on two things. We're drawn to familiar love. We're drawn to part one, we're drawn to positive and negative traits of our primary caretakers. So it's not an accident. It's almost custom-made love that we're with the people that we're drawn to. And part two is we're drawn to people that can express parts of themselves that we can't. So I was taught in my family that peacefulness is no good. You have to always be on. You have to always be ready for a fight. And I was drawn to my husband, Mike, who was very peaceful. And it sort of it was my other half of being a whole kind of a thing.
Okay. So I'm curious because we have talked about attachment theory on Flirtations before a little bit, where a lot of those, I guess, our attachment styles rooted in childhood and our family dynamic. So maybe how this Imago therapy is different.
It's the same, really. They just don't use the word attachment, but it's all based on it.
Okay.
And the idea, though, which I love and I completely agree with, is we're drawn to people who are going to re-wound us in our attachment styles. Only this time we get to heal it with this partner. It's not their job to fix us. We fix ourselves by returning to the scene of the crime of our childhood with this partner. And I can't tell you how many times I've done that with my husband in 32 years.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're really talking about relational healing here, which is, I mean, yes, we self-heal, and we can do that with our friendships and with therapists and other practitioners. And then there's this aspect of relational healing, which honestly, like that's like when I am like just really with my singleness, it's not anymore that I feel lonely or that I feel alone or that it's never going to happen for me. Why hasn't it happened yet? I don't do that anymore. But the one thing that still stands out for me is, damn, I would really love to be able to heal relationally with a partner, and specifically a romantic partner.
And you can. And that's what I liked about Imago. It was so positive. It's not a bad thing if you're finding yourself in the same situation you were as a child. Yeah. The good news is you get a chance here to correct that and to, with a parent that you never could, or in your childhood that's over. Yeah. People are like, was this going to keep me stuck in my childhood? No, you're stuck in your childhood if you're recycling your past.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about are those corrective experiences. Yeah.
Great word. Yes.
Yeah, I love a good corrective experience.
Yeah, so do I. But it's painful.
Oh my gosh, it is. Yeah, I mean, it's you want that experience to be with someone that, whether you're in a formal relationship or not, there's some level of trust and vulnerability there. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
So in what stage of childhood do you think some of these core wounds perhaps develop? Is it super young, more adolescence? Can it be all throughout our childhood?
All throughout. Here's what we say in Imago. If you were, if you have an attachment wound in your childhood, then you're going to have an attachment wound in a partner. And if you have a competency wound, then you're going to have a competency wound in a partner. And sometimes partners get competitive. That's about competency. Or deem the other one incompetent. That's a competency wound.
Oh, so like kind of putting someone down to build yourself up in a way?
Yep. And, you're not as good as me, or I do better, this whole competitiveness. Or in the exploration stage where kids have to learn how to explore the world, if you weren't given permission to do that, then you're not going to be willing to let your partner explore the world, or you're going to meet a partner who won't let you explore the world. It's like that.
Interesting. What are some of the core wounds that you see in your work that do originate in childhood?
Well, I will tell you that in the gay and lesbian couples, it's the intimacy stage, right? It's where we hid and we ran from each other, and the biggest wound for us, I think, are in that stage where we weren't allowed to pair bond, we weren't allowed to be out in the open. Although it's changing, obviously, right? But for most of us, that wasn't the case.
Yeah, even for my generation as well. I think it is changing slowly, but so dependent on your communities, where you live in the world, even religion, politics. I mean, all kinds of things. Yeah, I know I've talked to some youth, and it seems like they're starting to come out and even adapt different pronouns much earlier. But yeah, it's still so variable because you still hear those stories of just feeling like, yes, you gotta hide.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say there's in any of the developmental stages we have in growing up, there's not one more common wound than the other. It's just how it plays out. And then the wounding we have about everybody's supposed to be monogamous, everybody's supposed to be vanilla, everybody's supposed to be penetrative, all those crappy rules.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I want to talk a little bit now. So I think we have some understanding of Imago therapy and how some of these wounds develop, but now how they show up in dating. You alluded to them a little bit a moment ago, but now I'm curious to hear from your work, your experience, why maybe we attract the people we do.
Yeah, I mean, it is because of unknowingly, subconsciously, that you're drawn to this figure that, so people will think, so because I'm male, I remember thinking this actually, my bigger issues were with my mother. And I thought, oh, this is great. I'm gay, so I'm not going to have some woman and recreate what happened with my mother with a woman. Well, it's not gender-based, right? So I recreated a lot of things with my male partner because she was my more difficult parent and I had the most unresolved issues with her.
Okay. And so bringing these experiences into dating, is it maybe if you didn't feel validated or you didn't receive enough attention from your caregivers, is that part of your dating experience then?
Yes, and the harder pieces of this is when it's covert and not overt. The neglect, I call it benign neglect. I've written an article on Psychology Today, and that's been a really successful article where, people think of neglect as no food, shelter, clothing.
Yes.
No, you have all that, but your report card's not put on the fridge and said, hey, look how great you did. You're a real value in this family, and you're overlooked. You're the middle child. You're the whatever you are. You're the golden child, but you're not seen for who you are. You're seen as what you're contributing to the family. So then that neglect shows up by meeting partners who neglect you, but you don't see it because it's invisible.
Talk about that a little bit more. Yeah.
So it would be like, the obvious neglect would be, oh, you didn't remember my birthday, or, oh, you didn't, get me something for Sweetest Day, or whatever it is, But neglect might be, and it's so subtle that you're not really taking what I'm saying and remembering it or valuing it over time. Ooh. Or being like, what's the word when somebody needs to learn about you over time, like understanding me.
Yeah.
I'm not giving you great examples, but because it's so different and it's so subtle that you don't notice it until it's in your face.
Okay. But I think I understand how what you're describing in this experience. One of the ways it can show up in dating is with rushing. Is what I'm hearing is when you just feel like, oh, you want to get to that milestone. If it's exclusivity, if it's defining the relationship right now, your boyfriend, girlfriend, boyfriend, like whatever terms and language you're using there. And you start to look at every little detail, right? Oh, last time they texted quickly. Oh, but this time it took them 2 hours. And so, now you're checking the socials. Oh, now you're talking to your friend. Oh, now you're calling your mom or a parent. Like, what does this mean? What's happening? And you start going into, kind of a spiral.
Yeah, no, I love those examples. Those are the examples I would say are inclusive of that, of neglect.
Yeah.
Because you're looking for neglect, right? You're looking to that. Is he neglecting me? Does he care about me? Is he calling me back in time?
And so what I think I'm hearing you say is that your, attraction in dating, you're basically confirming through this other person's behavior that you're choosing more or less. It's confirming this bias, this belief that you have about yourself that maybe you deserve it or it feels good in a way with that. Yeah.
Familiar, right?
Familiar.
And what I tell people is dating, people think I have to get healthy. I don't know if you ever, and you may have done videos on this. I have to be healthy before I get in a relationship is such bullshit. Thank you.
Hate it.
Such bullshit. I hate it too.
Hate it.
You can get healthy by dating. You don't even have to be in a relationship. Dating itself, because if you're dating people like that, then you can say, oh, now I'm learning what I don't want.
Oh my God. Yes, Joe. That's exactly it. I love framing dating also as a practice and a process of healing, because you're going to be presented with all of these challenges. And I can see now, I can look back and see all the growth that I've made. I'm not in a relationship. I don't have someone to call my person, but I'm a hell of a lot closer to getting there than where I was even a year ago, because I know what I'm not going to do. I know what I don't like. I know how to advocate for myself, how to express wants and desires, how to set boundaries. I don't really get anxious anymore. I don't do the spiraling. I'm not checking social media. No.
That's awesome. That's healing. That's the healing you're doing just by dating. That's great.
Yeah. And along with that, I no longer judge myself if something doesn't work out, or even if it does, that now I'm comparing, right, what maybe was in the past or to a different person in a relationship or what I see online. I don't do that anymore. It's like, what do I think? Do I like this? Does this work for me?
Yes. And the best thing I think people can remember in dating is not trying to change the person.
Oh my God.
I love this whole, this whole let them theory. You know about that, right? Online.
I'm familiar. Yes. Mel Robbins really popularizing that with, currently with her new book. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just like the spirit of it is that if you start to try to change the person, and people do this, then you're not getting the real them, and it's not going to stick. So they may change a little bit in the beginning, because everybody does. We put on our best face, but in the end, you're going to still get who they really are. And so you have to really let people show up how they are. Yeah.
And it in so many ways takes a lot of the guesswork out of dating, because you don't have to try and put all the pieces together and try and figure out someone's entire story and who they are and what role they play in your life. If you just let them be them, you let yourself be you. Like, I think it's more so for me about detaching from those expectations while still coming into dating with that intention. What do you want?
Yes.
What do you desire? What kind of values are you looking for? What types of traits, maybe personality or otherwise, is attractive to you? Because I also don't want the flirties to waste their time or settle either.
No. And we haven't even talked about this, but the whole idea of being sexual or not, I chose a 3-month rule, 3 months back in my 20s. Okay. And I did it because, not that I wouldn't kiss or go to bed with you or, like go to sleep with you.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be overly sexual because I got too attached.
Oh my God.
I could have kinky fun with you and not get attached. But if we're relationally dating, I couldn't do it, or I would get hurt, because I was, guys use other guys.
Oh,
and I was tired of being used.
Yeah, I had that same experience. I have one of my, probably more viewed videos was about the 3 public date rule. I love this. Your first 3 dates need to be in public. None of this, because I see this all the time. You have a great first date. It's usually a marathon first date. You get really comfortable with someone. You're texting a lot. And then second date, it's usually a guy. He's like, hey, come over. I'll cook you dinner. And it's like, come on, you know what's going to happen on date 2. Right. And then kind of none of the other dates are actual dates anymore. They're just hangouts. And now you're in a situation.
Yes, I agree. And I don't judge that if that's what you want.
No,
but
there's no judgment. Right. Yeah, no judgment. Right. That can be, I've started to touch on that really on Flirtations, kind of the rules of casual dating, or dating without the intention of more, I'd say, kind of defined relationship, if you will. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That doesn't have to be, but not everyone's dating for a relationship.
Right. And I think another thing is, when you talk about red and green flags, it's a red flag if you can't let it be organic. You got to let it be organic. Let it develop itself.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I wanted to come back to something you mentioned a few moments ago about how sometimes who we're attracted to, our dating behaviors, are subconscious. Yeah. So how we could start to bring more awareness to our actions, because it's like, you don't know what you don't know, and you can't change what you're not even aware of, or even reflect on what you're not aware of. So for the flirty that's listening, for the dater that is feeling like maybe they're acting mostly out of subconscious and then getting themselves into these situations and positions like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened again.
Right.
How we can start to make some shifts there.
So the shifts then, and it's good and normal. So I want people to hear that. It's not like I'm a bad person, something's wrong with me.
Yeah.
But I'm doing this because it's natural to be drawn to familiar love. how can I be different in these situations? What can I do differently? Maybe I remember this one client. I think about him all the time. He was in trouble with this one relationship. He said, I just don't want to do this work with him. I'm going to go find someone else. And I said to him, you're going to find the same kind of partner. No. Came back for another round with a new partner. Same partner, upgrade. Did it again. Another same partner, upgrade.
Yeah.
And he was unwilling to do the work of recognizing, what does this remind me of in my childhood? What didn't I get from that parent? And what can I do differently? But it's also, what can I ask for differently from this partner? Are they willing to give me behavior changes the way my parents didn't? Behavior changes are a big deal in relationships.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. What are some of coming back to attraction a little bit as well, how might you give some language to healthy attraction versus maybe unhealthy or kind of toxic, for lack of better words, attraction?
That's a great question. I think people, when they hear healthy, they might think what it has to be normative or what heteronormative ideas are, right?
We can throw that out the window.
Healthy is what you want for yourself. How do you want to be without worrying about what other people think or what other people told you should or shouldn't be? You have to deprogram yourself from how you were raised, what you learned from movies. Even in gay culture, there's a code that people think we should follow. No, you follow your own code. And what's unhealthy is if you make a boundary and they don't stick to it, or you make a boundary and you don't stick to it. Boundaries are huge in relationship. And really paying attention to whether or not they're paying attention. Are they really understanding and learning about you? And are you doing that for them too? And it doesn't have to be 50-50. That's another thing. People think 50-50. I met my husband and I knew in the very beginning, we were never going to be 50-50. I was always going to do more. He was never going to do less. And I accepted that. I decided because I had so much more with him. And that's probably the other part of being healthy is, do I get enough of what I want to accept these other things that I don't really like?
Ooh, I like that a lot. And I think you wrapped in some green flag dating behaviors there as well, for sure.
Yes.
All right. For the flirty that's interested in learning more about Imago therapy, I'm curious from the perspective, from this perspective, how we can, because what I'm getting from this is it's about bringing less judgment into the dating process as well. So how we can start to let go of maybe expectations, if that's part of this.
And turn them into positive. So he has another book called Keeping the Love You Find, a guide for singles.
Okay.
And in it, I love this. I used to do workshops like this, and I miss doing them so badly. Let's say you don't like. I don't like narcissistic people. I can't stand them. I was raised by them. I'm the adults in my family, and so I then would look at what is positive about being a narcissist. There are positive things about narcissism. They take care of themselves. They get what they want. They go for what they want. You make a list of those things.
Yeah.
And in the book, he talks about how can you become more of that? The only reason you're bothered by the narcissist is because of childhood or because you're giving parts of yourself away. Or maybe you're really upset with somebody who's silly and you can't stand silly people. So I used to do this workshop where people would identify, here's what I don't like in partners. And one guy said, I don't like judgmental people. Can't stand it. So he came in, we call it your shadow. He came in as a judge. And he was I had him be very judgmental of all of us in the room. Okay. Own what you don't like in a positive way and find the good in it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Joe, that makes
okay.
Makes a lot of sense. I love it. I mean, I think you mentioned the word shadow. It sounds like there's some parallels there with shadow work.
100%.
As well, which I know some of the flirties are into. Haven't gotten too much into that on Flirtations, but I think you just described exactly what that is. It's kind of making.
I do. Yeah. I don't know if you do this. I know a lot of people do. I do it. I hate watch. There's a few creators. I fucking hate them, but I watch the entire video and their lives and everything. Yeah. And I'm like, what am I doing? But I would think of Imago and I think, what is this about this creator that is in me? I'm so irritated by them.
Yes.
But what is it about me? How is it? What's here for me that I can learn from them about me rather than making it about hating them?
Oh my God, yes. I absolutely do that too. And I've had to do exactly this. I mean, shadow work in action. And it's if I feel sometimes it's, I mean, I'm a Libra, so I tend to feel jealous at times. But more so, it's yes, I come at it from this place of non-judgment. Like, what is this actually trying to teach me rather than coming at it from this place of lack or this place of scarcity, like, oh, they have something I don't, or they're better at this than I am, or oh, I should have said that, or something like that. That's oh my gosh, then I'm just going to send myself into a complete tizzy and it's not going to be pleasant or fun.
Yes. And by the way, I thought of one really big red flag. I don't know why this wasn't in front of my mind. When somebody says, I don't want, nor do I like drama, run for the hills.
They are the drama.
They're drama.
They are letting you know up front in a very indirect way. It's the classic deflect, right? Don't look over here.
Yes. And obviously not always, but it's enough where that's because you don't have to say that. If none of us want drama, why would we have to put it in our profile?
Yeah. What I kind of have learned from the people that say that, not only do they tend to start and cause drama, but they have a complete inability to take accountability. Like that's what they're actually saying, hey, I'm going to hurt your feelings and probably be avoidant and be not so great, but don't talk to me about it. Like that's you.
100%.
Yeah. This has been really, really fun, Joe. Thanks for being on the show. I just have a little bit more I want to chat you with as we start to round out the conversation. I think I want to ask just anything we haven't talked about or a takeaway, something you'd like to share with the flirties that maybe we haven't covered.
I think that, as a sex therapist, I'm also very much into sexual health conversations. Mm-hmm. And I do like that most gays and lesbians do this from the beginning, right from the profile, but I don't know that we do it enough and really understand if you don't talk about sexual fantasies and desires and what you want and don't want, you might find yourself in a mixed erotic orientation marriage. In other words, a relationship, which is you get off on that, I get off on this. If we're open relationship, okay, go do it over there. But if we're monogamous, that's super problematic.
Ooh, absolutely. I could ask you a few things here. Kind of, I want to get your perspective on this. How soon is too soon to have sex?
That's a great question. I mean, I don't want to sound like an old man here, but I don't think the first time is really. I know that a lot of gay guys do that. They have sex first, and then they get to know each other.
100%,
right? Yeah. I know your generation still does that too. Yeah. But it's not necessarily helpful. It's like the U-Haul, really. That's our U-Haul from lesbians.
It's our U-Haul.
I never said that before. That's a good TikTok, actually. But I think just too soon would be before you really. I don't know. That's a great question. I have to say I don't know. It's
so I don't like answering a question like it depends, but. It does depend, and you have to know yourself. I can share from my perspective. I relate to you. I tend to attach more quickly if we're physically intimate, no matter what that looks like. Clothes are coming off, and then my expectations start to go up. Even if it's only been one date, reasonably, I start to now expect more because I feel like the connection is there on a perhaps deeper level than it really is, because in the grand scheme of things, we have maybe only been together for one date. So I know for me, I gotta come into that more slowly, and that's what works for me. And anyone who is going to rush me or feel like I'm not attracted to them, I've run into that problem before where I have not rushed into sex, and then I've gotten like, oh, why don't you feel attracted to me? Do you not think I'm hot? No, I'm literally complimenting you nonstop, and we're making out. I just need to move more slowly in this way with sex. And so I just come back to you, right? This is, as long as I date in a way that's true to myself, I'm going to align myself with people and experiences that are in that same wavelength as me. And I
love that.
I don't get mad or sad or upset or frustrated or any of that. Like, oh my God, I should have sex, or oh my God, I missed out. No. None of that. And
don't let people pressure you. Like as a side, I used to have so many guys say to me, well, you haven't met the right guy and you haven't had it done right. And how do you know? And like, like we used to say that to lesbians, if you met the right guy, then you would be straight, No, and being pressured, and that's different than being influenced. We have to let our partners influence us. That's how we evolve our sexuality, erotica. Yeah. But being pressured is a red flag.
Major red flag. Oh, if I had a nickel every time, you just haven't met the right guy.
Can't stand it.
I'd have a few nickels.
Yes.
Last question here, because I'd love to get your perspective on open relationships.
I'm very pro open relationship. I had a couple ones come to me and they said, we came to you because we know that if we go to a regular therapist, they're going to blame our problems that we're having on the open relationship. And we know that the problems we're having were always there, but opening that relationship highlighted the problems. And then wasn't that great?
Yeah.
I love it.
Do you think, is that going to be couple or relationship specific, perhaps whether to open it? Yeah.
Yeah. And people always say, therapists will still say this today. Well, there's always one that wants it and one that doesn't. And I say, stop. That's relationship. One wants to move, one doesn't. One wants kids, one doesn't. One wants more kids, one doesn't. There's always one that doesn't want. Why in the bedroom are we making a bigger deal about this? It's all the same. It's just differentiation, helping couples negotiate differences. That's all that is.
Oh, you're giving me a lot to think about.
Good.
This has been so much fun. I definitely want to send the Flirties your way to check out your socials, your books, perhaps even work with you. Where can they learn more about you?
So they can go to anything, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, and that's at Dr. Joe Kort, DrJoeKort. But then they can go to my website, joekort.com.
Fantastic. I will have all of those links in the show notes below for this episode. Dr. Joe Kort, thank you so much for making the time today to be on Flirtations.
Thank you. And I love being here. I'm so glad we reached out to each other. This was a nice interview.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Flirties, that's a wrap on this episode of Flirtations. Thank you so much to Dr. Joe Kort for coming on the show today and sharing so much with us about type, attraction, psychology, choice, why we date the people we do, choose the people we do, and if that's not working for us, not serving us, not leading us to the connections that we desire, how can we change some of those patterns and habits? Ooh. Yes, I enjoyed this conversation. I hope you did as well. Joe's links are here in the show notes for this episode. Check him out online if you would like to work with him, if that's an option available to you and you're being called to do so. His books, right? So many amazing resources here for you. Yes, please check him out. Thank you again to Dr. Joe Kort. And thank you to you, the Flirties, for tuning in, for streaming, for listening, wherever you may be in the world. Y'all already know. You know I can't do this without you, so please rate, review, subscribe to the show if you haven't already. If you have, thank you so much. And now share this episode with, someone you want to share some BFE, Big Flirt energy with, or share another episode of Flirtations with them. There's quite a few to choose from at this point. And thank you again for being here and doing this with me. Okay. Signing off officially here at Flirt Headquarters. My name is Benjamin. I'm the Flirt Coach and Gay Libra Flirty. Happy flirting.